Welcome back, everybody. It's Greg with Forever Progress. Today, I want to talk about a topic that's actually pretty near and dear to my heart. So, I want to talk about how easy it is to be an average, run of the mill, everyday real estate agent with just a little bit of tenacity, focus, hard work. You can actually become a great agent. And I want to tell a little story about when I started my career in Manhattan. So I got my real estate license, didn't know anybody, and I started doing rentals, became one of the top rental agents, transitioned into sales. The whole point of this is not that. So I was in the city doing my thing, and I had an amazing manager. To this day, I still keep in touch with her. She was firm but fair, and she had a no nonsense, no bullshit attitude, which I gravitate towards and I respect. And that's how I was as a manager. And it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. But at the end of the day, it was really, really good for business, which at the end of the day, that's all that matters. So when I was in the city doing my thing, I was a well oiled machine at that point. I learned everything from her and I used all her techniques, and I was off and running, building my business, scaling my business. I'm from Westchester, which is maybe 20 minutes up the West Side Highway. Everyone likes to say it's upstate, but it's 20 minutes up the West Side Highway. I'm from New Rochelle, and the calls started to come in where my sphere of influence, people I grew up with, their parents, whatever, wanted to sell their house. And me being in real estate and starting to market myself and brand myself in the city, they started seeing my posts and my mailers and just starting to get wind that I'm pretty successful in Manhattan and they would like to speak with me in selling their home. So light bulb went off and I wanted to add Westchester as another market to my business because I was solely Manhattan. That's all I did. And when I added Westchester, I had to work out of one of the Westchester offices as well. So I split my time between a New York City office and a Westchester office. And I heard for many years in the beginning how suburban agents are, and they weren't really taken serious. At least most of them weren't. Some of them you heard good things about, but most of them were not serious. They did it as a hobby. They were very unprofessional. And I kept hearing all these rumors. Well, long story short, the rumors were all true. So when I started to split my time between Manhattan and Westchester, I started meeting some of the local agents, going to the open houses, starting to see product for my clients, and starting to interact and deal with, which is what we do in real estate, with the local agents. And man, was it an eye opener. Everything I heard was true. I'm being very nice saying 90% were worthless. They just were seat fillers. They took up space. They clogged up the business, in my opinion. They weren't professional. They didn't dress professional. They didn't act professional. They didn't do the standard protocols that we did in Manhattan. And they all looked at me as an outsider, even though I'm born and raised there. And I shouldn't be there. I'm taking business away from them. Listen, at the end of the day, if you're good at your job, you can get business anywhere. And I'll talk about that later on as well. So, dealing with the local suburban agents, one of the first things that I noticed was they didn't know the product, they didn't know how to negotiate deals, and they didn't use professional photography. Something very simple. Now, we are in 2023 going into 2024. At this point, there is absolutely no need to not have professional photos taken. It is a pet peeve with me. And I'm going to talk about in a minute when I managed an office, a large office in Fairfield County. So, getting back to what I was saying, all the rumors are true about the suburban agents, and they looked at my style as the city. You're aggressive, you move too fast, you want too many answers too fast. Meanwhile, the pace at which we did deals and worked in the city was very fast because you had to be in the city, because if you slept on a decision overnight or if you took too long, someone scooped in, grabbed the property. Well, my clients as sellers in the suburbs loved the approach I took because they knew I was no nonsense and I moved fast. And I can weed through all the tire kickers out there and the agents that weren't real, didn't have real clients, and just didn't know what they were doing. And that like bogged up the system, and just push them aside and deal with the few professionals that were in the suburbs. And there are a few. And there's a reason why a lot of them do continual deals, because they're good at what they do. So, and then you get to know the certain players in the cities you work with and the markets you work with, and it becomes really easy to do deals with them. They look forward to doing deals when you have a property, and when the shoe's on the other foot and they have a listing and you have a buyer. It's a great deal when you're looking through some properties for a client, and you see that they're the listing agent. You're like, all right, that's cool. This is going to be fun to work with, and at least no nonsense, and they'll give you a legitimate shot because they know what they're doing. Most suburban agents don't know what they're doing. And when I stepped into management later on, way later on in my career, it was a very large office and a very high producing volume office. I think one year we did $327 million in volume. So a very large office, a lot of transactions. My first day in the office, now remember, I'm bringing the city mentality there. I'm in a suit, buttoned up, and people are coming in literally dressed like shit and look like they're just coming in off the street, grabbing a cup of coffee. And it's just the way, and I'm not faulting them for it because they didn't know any better. They were never taught from previous managers, and they were never shown the right way of how to do business. And a big part of that is looking the part, and then come back it up with acting the part. Everyone has, not everyone, a lot of people have egos in this business. Most of them are not earned. If you have an ego and you've earned it, okay, I'll give it. I'll give that to you. But if you have an ego just to have one, or if you think you're owed something, or you deserve something, no, no, you have to earn it. At least that's how I was taught in the business, and I wanted to pass that down because it was hugely successful. So it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, my approach, because they were so used to doing bare minimum work and not spending money when they have a listing, which blows my mind. We're in the business where you have to, in any business, you have to spend money to make money. When you go on a listing presentation, are you going to tell the potential clients of yours you're not going to use professional photography? You're not going to use floor plans? All of this stuff was a given in Manhattan. When I got to the suburbs, when I said floor plans, they looked at me like I had five heads. They barely, oh, that's for commercial properties, or I'm not spending the extra money on that, or I'm not even getting professional photography for this. I made it mandatory in my office that you had to use professional photography and try, if you can, to get floor plans done, because buyers are more savvy nowadays. And more importantly, which is what I try to drill into their head, you are a walking business card. You're only as good as your last deal. Sellers these days are interviewing multiple agents to list their property. They are also looking up your track record. When you have property after property of just shitty photos, it's not cleaned up, it's not a buttoned up approach, you didn't write a good description, do you think you're going to be high up on the list for them to consider? No, you're not. So what I did was, when I came in, I made it pretty much mandatory to take professional photos. What they didn't understand was, "Oh, it's Greg, it's not you're spending my money. It's too expensive." Photos are not that much money. And who wouldn't, and I always said this and it got him every time, would you spend $500 to make 10 grand? I'll wait. And they're like, "Yeah, of course." It's the same thing. You're gonna make tens of thousands of dollars selling this property, and you might come out of pocket 500 to $1,000. Call it $1,000. Not a big deal. It's the cost of doing business. By the way, it's a write-off because you're a 1099 independent contractor. So you have some benefits there, which I'm not going to get into. But who wouldn't spend $1,000 to make $10,000? I would do that 50 times a day. And I did. And it was successful. But it opens up marketing. That's actually free marketing for you because now you have a portfolio of properties that are buttoned up, super professional photography. And by the way, one of the reasons why you use professional photography is because you can clean up certain pictures. And if you had a picture where maybe there was a big piece of furniture you couldn't move, maybe you can get it erased and it makes the photo look great. Another thing that I witnessed in the suburbs and which just solidified that all the rumors were true. The agents didn't go to their photo sessions that did use professional photography. I never understood that. You don't want to see what they're doing. You trust their work unless you've worked with them a million times and you know they're an awesome photographer. You should be there and you should be active and moving things around, making it the every room have the best shot because you have 3 seconds to grab somebody's attention with photos when they're looking at properties. Another thing was description. You should write a description where if you had your eyes closed, no photos, you can walk that potential buyer through the house. They should be able to visualize it. I'm not saying write a novel, but you should be pretty detail oriented where they can visualize room to room what it looks like and get a great feel for the house. When you match that with professional photography that looks awesome, it blends well. And guess what? You look like $1,000,000. This person knows what they're doing. I'm going to call them. And if I'm going to sell my house, guess what? They're on the list to people I'm going to interview for. Another thing that I witnessed was the agents in the suburbs didn't go to their closings, their own clients' closings, whether they're buyers or sellers representing. And I never understood that. And that's why a lot of the public looks at agents just as greedy people that just want their check. Number one, we're in the service industry, no matter how you cut it. We are here to service our clients, whether they're buyers, sellers, investors, renters, whatever. We are here to service them. You should take them from day one to closing table. And to be honest, you should keep in touch with them after that because you never know what those relationships can spawn and get you more business, whether with them or their friends or family. So you should be at the closing for multiple reasons. Number one, it's the right thing to do. Your clients will be at ease with you sitting next to them at the table, and it's all good. Number two, you should go because I couldn't tell you how many times attorneys cut checks wrong to the agents. And if you're not there to correct it, good luck getting that done in a timely fashion. I've seen people be short 30 grand, 10 grand, 7 grand. If you're there, oh, sorry, this is wrong, rewrite the check. Okay, no problem, done. If you wait to get it mailed to your office, which I'm going to be honest, 90% of the suburban agents do that, now they come bitching and moaning to the manager like I'm supposed to do something. Well, you should have been at your closing because you could have nipped it in the butt right there and you wouldn't now have to wait and chase your money. So that's on you. So when you become an agent, you should be a full service agent from the beginning of the transaction all the way to closing. All right. So getting back to my original statement was it is very easy to be an average agent. you don't want to be an average agent. Most of the public look at real estate agents as used car salesmen for a good reason. They're not wrong. Most of them, I'm being nice, 90% should not be in the business. It's the 10% you want to be in that group. There's a reason why those 10% you see their names year to year, every year, doing the deals in the market you want to be in. It's the same names, just shuffled a little bit, but it's always the same names because they're good at their job and they're professional. And it is not that hard to make a few adjustments, work a little harder, and have some more pride and self respect to step your game up and be a 2.0 version of the agent you are. If you're a new agent, this is great advice so you don't make the bad mistakes or the bad habits out of the gate. But if you're touched by what I'm saying, or if you're triggered by what I'm saying, it's probably for a reason. And maybe you should look at yourself and your business year over year. And are you hitting your goals? Are you growing and scaling your business? Are you where you want to be? If you're not, there's probably some holes that need to be plugged, which is not a problem. That's what I do. I'm here to help you. And Forever Progress is here to plug those holes and actually build a bigger ship so you can make more money. So I said I would talk about it earlier or later on. So when I added Westchester, I started doing deals Westchester, obviously, and New York City. At that point, I got my Connecticut license. So now I added Connecticut because you might as well. Fairfield County, Westchester County, they're butted up right next to each other. And then you drive a little bit south, you're in the city. So I had the whole corridor going. And what I eventually realized was a lot of my clients, I called it, they all played in the same sandbox. All right. They had houses out east, Montauk, East Hampton, Southampton, all of that. They were there. And so, you know what? I've added these two other markets. So I'm in 3 markets at this point. I'm going to add out east. It's very seasonal, but there's a time to do business. And a lot of my clients in the city and in Westchester wanted to use me as a buyer's rep out east because out east is a whole different ballgame with real estate agents. It's still to this day I think it's the Wild West out there. It made Westchester and Connecticut look as professional as the city. That's how bad and lacking the professionalism was out there. And I'm not talking about the companies that were out. It's the agents that were out there, the quality of agents. There was literally a handful of decent agents. The rest are just garbage. And the public is savvy of this. They are aware. And my clients were aware of that. And they did not want to deal with out east people, agents. So I would go out there, and at first, the first couple months was tough out there for me because they looked at me as a total outsider. I wasn't a local because I didn't live there, even though I've been going out there for 20 years. And they really tried to shun or push you out and not do deals with you. Lo and behold, the 10% of good agents out there that always do deals, guess what? They had zero problem with me because you know what? At the end of the day, all we can do is make each other money. You have a product you're selling. I have a potential buyer. Why wouldn't you converse and talk with me and negotiate with me so you can sell your product and my client can buy the product? And vice versa. I started getting listings out east. And the number one question I got was, how'd you get this listing? You have a 917 city number. This should be my listing. Oh, really? It should be your listing? Well, maybe if you were better at your job, you'd have the listing. They gave me the listing because they understand how I run my business and how I represent my sellers and their properties. You don't do that because they probably looked you up and they saw everything that I spoke about earlier, and they don't want that. These sellers are paying good money in commission. They want the service. Why wouldn't you give them the service? All right. So, to wrap this up, if you want respect in this business, it's earned. It is not just given to you, it's not deserved. You have to earn everything in this business. And there are ways to do it to speed up the process. And it is very easy, remember, to be an average run of the mill agent. You don't have to do much. Step your game up and be the professional you want to you want to aim to be in that 10%. You want your name on that list year after year. And I'm going to be honest, it is not hard to separate yourself from somebody that does this part-time, that does this as a hobby, that does this just to fill time in between days and go have lunch with their friends. Because that's what most of the suburban agents do. All right. So, and don't let these companies tell you you can't operate in different markets. When I finished up selling, I was in 4 markets and I heard no right out of the gate. When I was in the city, no to Westchester, no to Connecticut, no to the Hamptons. I didn't listen to any of that noise and I broke into all the markets and I had business in all the markets. So don't let anybody tell you you can't do something. If you want to do something, figure out a way and do it. All right. Thanks for tuning in. And I look forward to bringing you some more stories and some more highlights. And I am not bashing on purpose the suburban agents in Westchester, Connecticut. I'm not. There are a few good ones. What I'm bashing is the work ethic and the lack of professionalism. And if you fit in that category and you are upset or whatever, I don't care. I care about the people that just got their license so they don't have to deal with you and they don't turn into you. And I want to deal with those 10% that keep doing deals over and over again and that are growing their business. All right. So be a good agent. Always try to be a better 2.0 version of yourself. Don't worry about the market. Don't worry about next year, the year after. Just stay focused. And the great agents make money no matter what the market's doing. Let's figure it out together. I'm here to help. Message me anytime. Have a good one.